Well, welcome to another episode of the Lady Trucking CEO podcast. Today, I have two very special guests with us today. They're sisters that got into business together, and they serve the trucking industry in a way that is so needed and so valuable. So it brings me great pleasure to welcome to the show today, Lashanta and Lateasha Witherspoon. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes,
ma'am.
Awesome. Okay, so can you, either one of you can start. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at this particular point in time? And introduce yourself and then tell us about what you do.
Okay, awesome. So we are LLG Transportation Consultants. The people like to call us compliance queens. We focus on helping individuals start their trucking companies as far as the startup process, the applications, the compliance and things of that nature. But we also help everybody stay in compliance, making sure that they are abiding by the rules and the regulations of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
To date, we are over 100 trucking companies that we have helped get started and constantly growing. I am Lateasha. My beautiful sister is Lashanta. The G in our business name stands for our brother Greg. And so we wanted to keep his memory alive, but we also wanted to honor our father. His name is Gregory Sr. as well.
That's awesome. Wow. And so how long have you guys been in business?
We've been in business since November 2020. So we have officially reached 1 year.
Wow.
Yay.
Congratulations. You guys are doing
so
amazing work in such a short period of time. Well, it seems like a short period of time. Wow. That just goes to, that tells me that the service that you guys are providing is so vital to the industry. So let's go back a little bit into maybe when you guys were teenagers. You guys look fairly young. I don't know. Most people might assume that you're not, as far as your age, but like, let's go back to maybe like when you were like 16, 14. What were you guys doing at that point? And did you think that you would end up here, like in the trucking industry?
I guess I'll start with that. 14, 15, 16, I was working actually.
Okay.
My first job was Hibbett Sports. So I was working at that particular time. We grew up in kind of a poverty type of environment. So at the time, and all I was thinking about is I need to try to help my mom as much as possible and try to provide for our family at that particular time. So again, I was just working. I wasn't thinking about, okay, well, what's going to be next? I always knew I was probably going to go to college or something of that nature. But at that particular time, it was just work mode for me. So I was just trying to figure out a way to just survive at that particular time and make sure that the bills were paid in our household. Who was thinking about that at such a young age? Me, yes.
Yeah.
We didn't have much as we were growing up. So at the time, and it was very helpful, I feel, in our household. So
okay. I'm
and
take
I
a
was
wild guess. Are you the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Okay.
But look, the youngest. I'm the big little sister.
That's right. So I was always into everything as far as with the school and involvement and things like that. So I've been like the class president. I've been the basketball team captain, track team captain, SGA, Student Government Association. So I knew I was going to be a boss and run some stuff.
Okay.
But I didn't know that I was going to be running my own business at all. Still can't believe it to this day. We never had any idea that we were going to be in the trucking industry, although from the time that we came out the womb, we were around it. Our father was driving.
Okay.
He was running his own company. So by the time that we turned 15, 16, there's 2 years between us, our father was up and running his own company. So we would travel with him, be on the road with him. And he used to tell us, like, y'all need to get your CDLs and things like that. But we never wanted to get our CDLs and we never wanted to be in trucking.
Right. So when did that transition happen for you guys? When you're like, maybe we could try this?
When we got extra broke. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, sis.
Oh, I was just going to say, honestly, it really happened over the past couple of years or so, to be honest with you. Like I said, in the beginning, it was just more so going to school, good grades and things like that, went to college. And honestly, my pathway was something totally different at that particular time. And so, you know, after moving and things of that nature, we started helping like different family and friends and stuff with their back office items, such as like dispatching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we started helping different people with that. And then I'll say, so like on down the line, we figured like, okay, this is kind of a need for this. So it was never a thought for me in the beginning at all. Like never wanted to get into it. That's not even my background. Never really thought about it. Didn't care about it. Even when my dad said something about it, it was really never my thing, or never something I thought we would even do at this particular point. But, you know, life changes, I feel. And now that I'm getting older, you never know what pathway you're going to take. You'll start one way, and then honestly, you may end up something totally different, and that may be your new way of life, you know, or a way to get into something more that you potentially want to do. So just being able to help family and friends, people that we pretty much knew in the trucking industry, kind of gave us the idea as far as starting with a back office support and not really a truck. We knew we didn't want a truck because we broke, okay? We didn't want the liability of a truck or anything like that. So we knew we wanted to start small. And how would you start small is your back office support, just helping the drivers, owner operators in that area. And then we resonated from there.
So from college, you started getting into the compliance side of it, or
no.
There's a little gap there.
Okay, you could tell your portion. Mine's a little bit different from how she transitioned into it. So I'll say this, went through all of college, things of that nature. Okay. So mine's always been finance. I was in the bank, things like that. So I was in the financial world, worked for the bank, did contract acquisition, things of that nature. And then after that, I eventually moved to Dallas.
Okay.
So I eventually moved to Dallas after all of that. And then from that point forward, my sister eventually moved. And once she moved, we knew a guy down here that we went to school with, and he was here. And so he was getting to the trucking industry. He was getting out of the military, things of that nature, and he wanted to get into trucking. So he kind of needed some help at the time. And he needed some help with his back office. Honestly, you know, we was kind of winging it in a sense. We were just winging some stuff. But my sister was helping more so with the dispatching portion of it. And he also just needed some help. And like I said, we have a cousin. He's in the trucking industry. He's been in there for quite a long time as well. He's our cousin-in-law. And so he needed some help with some paperwork. When I say the back office support, like the paperwork, applications, things like that. Just some, like his finances, just trying to get some organization and some structure in the business. So we kind of just maneuvered our way, I would say, into it just by assisting them because of the background that we have in the trucking industry, you know, working with our father and stuff. So we wasn't, you know, oblivious to how to do certain things. So, you know, nobody else was helping. So we decided to help. And then that kind of just gave us the idea of the back office support. So that's why I say it was never my thing. I think just moving around, and once I moved, my mindset changed, and I wanted to kind of transition my career into something more, something different.
Okay. And what about you, Lateasha?
So as my sister stated, I started working in the trucking and logistic industry before she did. We didn't realize, I guess, growing up, sis, that we were picking up on things that Dad was saying as far as some terminology, BOL, loads, you know, load board and things like that. So we have been picking up and learning unintentionally about the industry as we were around him more. And so when we did moved out here to Dallas and stuff together, we saw the opportunities. Before moving out here, I had started working with our cousin-in-law. I came in and I cleaned up everything, like organized, got his invoices. He had so much money, like in reserves and stuff that he needed to get released. So I started learning more about building organization systems and what is this and things of that nature. And he was using a kind of like a consulting company or agency like we are now, and they weren't doing a great job, right? And so that's kind of where I got the idea of like, okay, well, what does it really take and what do I need to learn? So from there, I went into moving out to Texas. I started at a dispatching position for a company here in Dallas, overseeing like 32 technicians, dispatching them to different warehouses every day. And then from there, it was just like that thread on your on your shirt. Like we just pulled it and more things just began to unravel. And so we came together and I was like, we need to offer back office support. And she was like, yeah, I think we do too. And we went from there. And so we started using our family members, our college and classmates, high school classmates, like, hey, look, this is what we're about to do. What do you say is the hardest part for you with running your company? And a lot of them allowed us, they gave us good feedback. They allowed us to kind of use them to learn more. And then of course we had our dad. And so we started using his company information to learn even more. Fast forward, I transitioned into a HR / like compliance manager, production manager for a company here in Dallas. And that taught me even more, right? I was literally like responsible for hiring drivers, the compliance, working with onboarding them and things of that nature. And because we were transporting hazardous material, I had to know the rules and the regulations as well. And so boom, the pieces just began to fall together. So to sum it all up,
pretty much,
in 2019, it's when beginning like July of 2018 is when we got the ideas and we started researching. January 2019, we put the actual business formation into place, the LLC, but we did not start taking on and getting paid for our services and launch our business until November of 2020 of last year. Wow. So we did a lot of studying and researching.
Before you even got to starting the actual LLC and everything else.
Yes.
Wow. So you had gotten started, Lateasha, like right out of college, or you had done the whole college thing and then was doing something else and then got into it? Or were you always kind of doing dispatching part and stuff like while you were in college?
I have had every type of job in this world. So my background is in education. So I went to school for secondary education, but then I realized like, I don't really like these kids. And so I want to get up out of here. They're not paying enough. And then life happening with personal things where it was just like, when I originally came out here and I got the position as a dispatcher, it wasn't with the thought process of, oh, I'm going to use this to go into the trucking industry. It was just like, they gonna give me this job, it's in the right place, it's paying the right amount of money. But then it allowed me to continue to learn even more about logistics and stuff. I have been working some positions I had held with other companies. It had logistic pieces to it, right? Whether it was me being responsible for verifying the proof of deliveries. And so over time, I just became this arsenal of information. But from college, when I left there, never got a degree, right? Just said, no, this is not for me. I'm going to figure something else out. And I just started beginning working in different industries and learning. And then when I did realize that trucking and transportation and logistics was the way to go, I became intentional about all of the jobs that I would get at that point, and it led to here.
Okay. And so with all of those things that you guys learned from those previous jobs, do you find that those skills that you had from the previous things that you were doing were transferable to running and your business and making it successful?
Absolutely. Just being a student, first and foremost, I feel like anyone before you become an entrepreneur, so you have to have that feeling of working for a job. Some people like the millenniums before me, of course, I'm 33. So people before me now, most people are already getting into being entrepreneurs, like from the get-go, because their parents most likely is still kind of fresh, kind of young. And so they're already doing their own thing. Right. But getting into it, leadership skills, customer service, being able to serve other people, things of that nature, you really have to learn all of those skill sets ahead of time. I feel like prior to trying to be an entrepreneur, because as you become an entrepreneur, you learn so many new things. You have to learn how to solve problems, ahead of time, things of that nature. So it's so many different avenues that I feel like that has taught me, that has led me up until this point of being an entrepreneur, because it's just so many missing pieces that you don't realize that every job that you have leads you up to the point to me of becoming an entrepreneur.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Whether it was working at, you know, a shoe store, working at a retail shop, working McDonald's, anything like that. Customer service at hand, any service-based company, okay? Anything that's service-based related, you have to have some sort of customer service skills to be able to even have a conversation with people, you know, and be able to probe and ask different questions, things of that nature. So all of those different skill sets, just how to articulate your words, things of that nature, all of that stuff plays a major part, I feel, into becoming an entrepreneur. And you have to have those skill sets in place as you continuously constantly learn, because there's so many other things that you're still going to learn that you need to put in place in order to continue to be successful as an entrepreneur.
So true. And I know you, so the two of you work together as partners. And I know that when people come together as business partners, it's important that each person has their thing that they do in order for the partnership to work. So how do you guys navigate that part of it?
Well, I'll say, first off, I don't know if I want to say, you can't want to do the same thing. Someone has to kind of delegate in a different area, if that makes sense. So, you know, she's strong in her logistics and I'm strong as far as the financial side. So we can do vice versa. Like we can do both jobs. However, that's her strong point. My strong point is the financial business side. So she can learn what I know, but I feel like because we do separate things, but we're also learning each other's avenues, that it has helped us to grow and to become better partners. Now, you know, we have our differences and things like that, but it's never a big clash because no one is trying to do more than the next. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to respect that person. It has to be two separate personalities. I don't feel like personally the same personalities really work, because you can clash very quickly. You can really clash with a person very easily. So having different personalities, you know, that really truly helps, I feel like, with us as well.
I would agree.
Go ahead.
I would agree. And on another podcast, like I was talking the most and I was explaining stuff because it was more about, he was asking trucking logistic related questions. And so me knowing her and knowing that I can articulate this better than she can, because it is actually like my bread and butter. It's like, I loved it. I spoke up more. But if we were in a you know, different scenario or different platform, then as you can see, like I have no problem allowing her to lead certain parts of the conversation and things like that. And so I apologize. So that's the thing. It's a respect, right? And so not being afraid or being willing to allow the other person to take the front, right? That front position. I have things that I'm super comfortable doing. I'm a social media person. I can go in there, I can post, I can be live, I can do TikToks every day. That's not so much of her personality, but she will do it because she understands like how it's beneficial and things like that. I'm not a numbers person. You don't want me doing anything with numbers, okay? I will have you messed up, but that is her cup of tea. And so she handles the business side for us as well as far as like building business credit and things. But it just comes down to finding a partner that you are, you have the same morals and values. You're like-minded, but you're still very different, and your strengths and weaknesses really balance and compensate each other.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I've learned about working on a team is that everyone brings their strength. And when everyone brings their strength to the team, that makes the team even more awesome, because I'm not over here struggling in my weakness when my weakness is actually your strength. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna say something, Lashanta?
Oh, no, I was going to say, because people tell us all the time, just being sisters, you know, and we family. So they like, I can't do that. You know, a lot of people cannot work with their family member, but it goes back to your personalities, you understanding and knowing that person. Some people will clash too easily and the business will fail. So a lot of people cannot work with their families and stuff, but that has to be respected and understood. And you don't want to just form partnerships with anybody, because anything can happen at any time. honestly, even with us as sisters, but I know that, anything can happen at any time, and why it's just so important to put things into place. But that's all I was going to say. A lot of people cannot work with their family at all, especially a sister. So that's not the easiest task to do, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
So I think our personal relationship was solid before we brought in a business relationship. And so because when we moved out here, all we had, and most of the time, all we really have is each other anyway.
Right.
Just being honest. And so even though we got older siblings and stuff, we're the two youngest since our brother passed. And, we always kind of find our way back to each other. And so I think our personal relationship was strong enough where when a business opportunity like this came along, it just made sense. We don't argue, we don't wear the same size anymore. So we don't argue over shoes and, the petty things that sisters and stuff may find themselves arguing about and stuff. We're just not that.
Do you think that the passing of your brother helped with how close you guys have gotten or impacted how you've viewed each other in the relationship?
Yes. Because before my brother passed, we kind of looked just alike in a sense. I don't look like nobody. So he's the only one I feel like I look like. But we were very close. We were very close. We were very close, and plus we're very close in age. So his birthday is coming up on the 14th, and my birthday is on the 22nd. So he's gonna turn 33. So we have the same birthday for like a week, and then I turned 34. So we were super close. And at the time, it been my sister, plus she was younger than us, not that too much younger, but she was younger than us. But we were close though, we were really close. So after he passed, again, like she said, we are so close in age that it kind of just, honestly, I just feel like that was something that was God, ordained. He was like, y'all don't know, but y'all gonna be super, super tight, when you pass on your brother, and God knows he missed him a lot and stuff like that. But I do feel like it really played a major part because me and him was so close. But afterwards, me and my sister only had each other because our siblings are 10, 15 years older than us. So, they were long gone, and all we had was one another. And we only, because that's been since he was 14. So we literally have grown with one another from that time forth until this point.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. Wow. Because I have two sisters. I'm in the middle, and I remember growing up. I love her now, but I couldn't stand my little sister, and so I can just imagine how something so heavy could really change your perspective on the relationship.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah, and then he was our protector, so to speak, too. And so even though he was younger than her and older than me, he was real deal, I think, the boss or whatever. So because he was so wise beyond his years and stuff. And so I was close to him because both of us were athletes, right? And so I would be outside playing basketball and trying to do everything that he's doing. I fell out of a tree trying to do what he was doing and hurt myself. Oh, wow. But they were more close on I would think an emotional connection because they were always at the same school together. Here it is. I'm still in elementary. Wait for me. I want to get on that bus. They're talking about things and people that's going on at their school. And I don't even know who they're talking about, right? I'm still playing in the sandbox. And so, like she said, once he passed, it was just okay, so now you want to talk to me now? Yay. And so we, and I don't think I even noticed, just thinking about your question, I never noticed when the bond formed. I think it just happened.
Okay. It's just a natural progression.
The business line keeps talking. We're so sorry. That's why the phone keeps doing that.
Okay. No problem. So moving forward to where you guys kind of are now, and what would you say one of your biggest successes have been so far in running business?
Definitely being able to say that we've helped over 100 individuals start their own business as far as their trucking companies. So that on the business side, but I would say for me, the personal accomplishment of even being able to say, hey, started from the bottom, now we're here. But we're not all the way at the top yet. Let me come back down. We almost there. But being in a position to say where we come from, literally, to where we are now as individuals, like that's my biggest accomplishment, is to say that like we are actually full-time entrepreneurs running a business in a male-dominant industry that is also not very friendly to minorities, right? And so that's my personal like accomplishment, because I know where I was 3-4 years ago, I had no idea, like sleeping on family members' couches and things like that, to be where we're at now. That's my personal accomplishment that I'm most proud of.
Okay. Lashanta?
Yes, I can definitely agree with her, but I would say as far as on a business side, just being able to host our first conference, that was major. So that was a huge success, very stressful. Okay?
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
It's extremely stressful. I was going to say successful. It was successful, but stressful. Just leading up until the point, there's so many pieces that you have to put together. I feel like it honestly taught us so much, even going forth, as far as us creating our next conferences, probably, next year or in 2 years, whatever we decide to do. But it just taught us so much just in such a short period of time. But to be able to put on a conference in less than a year, okay, and to have people to actually show up, I think that's a blessing, because people showed up and they actually appreciated. They, we got really good feedback from our conference. It was very emotional. It was rewarding. It was joyful. It was great. I was grateful. It was just so many emotions involved at the timing. But that was a very huge success for us. And so many more to come. But to be able to do it, I feel like in a short period of time, and for people to actually be present and in tune with what we have to talk about,
and
was
trust
very
us.
major to.
Yes, and trust us. That was the big thing, because it's a lot of people that's doing conferences and courses and all of these things, but to have people actually invest with you and trust you, and to pull it off without any issues, that was a huge accomplishment for us.
I definitely think when you operate from a high level of integrity, from the true authenticity of who you are as a person, as a woman, like people will trust you, because they know that you have their best interest at heart, and you're not just out here trying to, stack your pockets and empty theirs,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Wow. So what would you say have been your biggest challenge so far?
The growth, I would say for me, the growth, managing the growth, because there's so much every day in business you are learning, no matter what type of business you have, there's always something to do. So managing the growth, like putting things into place so that you're not, what do they say, working in your business, working for your business type of thing. It will be, and finding the balance, how to balance everything, because there is always, like, you see all these sticky notes, that's stuff to do, right? And so there's always so much to do. That's been the biggest challenge, is just managing the growth and finding the balance to be able to, that home and business life balance.
And so what about you, Lashanta?
Yes, to piggyback on her. So for me, what I'm finding that one of my biggest challenges is, I don't think a lot of people realize, coming from being in corporate America for so long, transitioning into being an entrepreneur is life-changing, to be honest with you. It's something that I'm still finding myself getting more comfortable and stuff with, even though it's something I've wanted to do for so long. It's a different avenue from working in the corporate America, having your steady paychecks, or having, what to do every day, or whatever the case may be, and transitioning to being a leader, transitioning to starting a company from ground up. What does that look like? It's a whole different ball game, and I didn't recognize that or realize that at first. It's like, you could put a lot of pressure on yourself, because it's like, okay, you think you're ready, but you're really not, because it's so many pieces, girl. And it's a lot of pieces that you seriously have to continuously put together and build for your business in order for that to be successful. So it's a total different ball game, from coming from your 9 to 5 into becoming your own boss.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like this is not for the weak and it ain't for everybody. Okay.
Right.
That's
right.
two things, not for the weak, and entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I know you realize you're made for it, but it's a transition. Like it's not a sprint, it's really seriously a marathon. Once you realize and put everything together, because like she said, it's trying to find time to manage it all, and continuously making sure you're keeping up with everything that is happening going on, because we're growing so rapidly. We're constantly making changes and stuff. So just that transition from 9 to 5 to an entrepreneur, it's the best feeling ever, but take your time with it. If I have to give any advice, take your time with it and don't pressure yourself and feel like you're behind or you're not doing something right because you're not doing it as quick as you wanted it to be. But you got to realize in the mindset of coming from something you're used to something that's unknown.
And you said something just now, and you said there's so much that you need to know, and then that you don't know. And the thing is, you don't even know that you don't know
until you don't know.
Listen,
until you
know that you don't know.
And that's what we mean. We tell people sometimes. We tell people that, hey, like we're successful. When it comes to like financially, we're successful, but there's still a lot of things that we need to put into place to make us feel successful overall as a company. Not just because we started 100 trucking companies, not just because we have over 400 plus clients, not because we've just done conferences and stuff. It's the internal things that we still are not successful with, right? And so that's the systems, the processes, the organization, and, getting your business to a level where it's set and go. It's it's automated, right?
Yes.
And so once we reach automation, I will feel successful. But if I still got to get up every day and come sit down at this computer to make sure that, we're hitting numbers and things like that, we haven't reached success yet. We're not 100% successful yet.
As far as balance, because balance is such a huge thing, balance and self-care and taking the time. How do you guys handle that part? I know, girl, I know it's a struggle.
They call us the compliance queens, but y'all need to call us the nap queens, because one thing we will do is take a nap.
Girl, nap is my love language.
Yes. Seriously, the honest answer for me with that is I'm still finding that. I don't think I've mastered, and that's something that may come in time where you master your work balance life, because if I'm relaxing, I'm thinking about, well, Lord, I need to be doing this. I don't have time to watch no TV. I don't have really, I feel guilty. And I need to get to the point where I don't feel guilty because I'm not productive.
That's real talk.
And if you're not productive, I'm not making no money. Okay.
Yes, but at the end of the day, also learning, like she was like, why am I rushing to get up every morning? Like in the mentality that you told as an entrepreneur, it's like most successful entrepreneurs are up by 5 a.m. But I'm gonna be a thousandaire all my life because I can't get up at that hour because my lifestyle, it doesn't allow for me to do it, because I may not go to sleep until 1 o'clock because my mind works better at nighttime when my household is quiet, right? And so it's like, I remember Shanta telling me that, like, I didn't start a business so that I could rush to my business every day. Like, I have the luxury of being able to be like, you know what? I am going to sit down, take a breather, read, pray, drink my coffee, watch the news before I jump into my business. And like she said, learning how not to feel guilty about it. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your business. But it's hard. It's especially when you are an ambitious person, and you're goal oriented. It's very hard to sit still and not do anything.
Yes, it is.
So
it's extremely hard.
But we are learning. We are learning to pull away, set boundaries as far as, like, we have our business hours. We have, like, right now we're getting tons of calls that's coming in because we do, as of now, still answer our own phone lines. And, a part of you want to be like, I'll be right back. Let me get this call, because you don't want to miss that call. But then we are also realizing, like, no, we're doing something that needs our concentration. So we will get to that in a moment, because it may take us 15 minutes to just set that aside and go and answer and return those calls. Boom. Now we can go back to focusing on something else. We're starting back to like exercise and things like that. Another thing we did, which I think is good, sis, is that we're getting outside of our homes now, because as you can see, we work from home. And so we're starting to go to like meeting spaces to work in those meeting spaces, because it helps us. I feel like it just helps us to rejuvenate ourselves.
That's so true. And so the mindset that an entrepreneur, especially as a Black woman in this industry, what kind of mindset do you guys have to cultivate daily in order to really do what you do?
I think you have to always think about your why. You know, you always have to have that why in mind of why I started. The days that I don't feel like doing anything, the days where I feel like just resting because I'm so tired, my mind is tired. I always put into forefront the why. What is my purpose to even start at this? Why would you get to the point where you wanted this for so long to stop now? You know, because Camille, you could get to a point, because I think, and I talk about this a lot with a friend, coming from that corporate environment, I feel like I've worn myself out so much. Now it's time to do my own thing. And sometimes I feel like I don't have the energy. And why I always have to piggyback on my why, you know, because I've just drained myself so much of doing something for someone else, working for someone else on their timing. And now it's time to do your own thing. Honestly, most times you may not have the energy, but I think it's important to piggyback again on the fact that you have to understand, why did I get started with this? What is my purpose with this? You're building a legacy. You know, I don't have children, but I may one day have children, but I have nephews. They're going to need this. They're looking at everything that we're doing every day. So it's so important for us to make sure that we understand the why and the purpose behind why we're getting started. And I think that's what continues to keep me driven and keep me going each and every day.
So true. Because sometimes things definitely gets hard and you just wonder to yourself, whose idea was this? Why did I go this? This was your idea, girl.
She say that to me all the time. She said, why did you persuade me to be an entrepreneur? Because this ghetto.
It's 1 star.
It is
1 star.
And if we could have given it 0, we would have given it 0. But not gonna lie, like with all of the challenges of entrepreneurship and being out here, like running business, it definitely has its ups and its downs.
Yes, it does.
And absolutely remembering your why is you got to know like why you're doing this. And because if you lose sight of that, you can lose yourself and eventually lose your business, because
you feel like it's not working.
What? Yes.
I feel like a lot of people on the client side, from the other perspective, a lot of those individuals who are getting into this particular industry as far as trucking, I feel like a lot of people are not actually, they don't have a why, right? They don't have a genuine why. They have a why that is associated with a financial goal, but not a personal goal. And so because of that, you see people, they're willing to invest quickly, and then they'll get out of the industry even quicker than what they did that investment. And so we try to tell people, like, what's your reason? You can't just say because you saw Shanta start a trucking company, now you're going to start one. Well, you know, you ain't Shanta, you know. It got to be a different reason. But yes, definitely knowing your why help us to stay motivated and, you know, putting our best foot forward.
I heard a mentor say that your why should be, it has to be deeper than money. It has to be more than money. And when your why is focused around people and providing value or adding value to people's lives, then you show up different and you show up on a different level, because you realize that it's bigger than just you, you know, whether those people are your family members or the clients that you serve. And I think that one of the reasons why you guys are doing so well is that I think you guys have excellent customer service. It sounds like you guys
definitely try.
like really put your clients, at the forefront. So if you had to speak to, if you had to speak to someone who is listening, if a woman is listening to this podcast and she's at a point in her life where she doesn't want to really be where she is right now at her job, but she's dealing with fear and other factors, what would you say to her as far as taking that step that it's going to take to cross over into entrepreneurship? Or like just even if it's not crossing over into entrepreneurship, just to move her from where she is to kind of, considering other things.
Yeah, so for me, right.
No, go ahead, boo.
For me, I was at that point where that in limbo after separating from my ex-husband, and he was like, what am I going to do? I got to do something. I don't know what it is. And one of the things that I learned to master is the way that I think. Like my thoughts control my life. And so for that particular woman who may be listening, or women who may be listening, you're like, I know there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. I just have this fear, or I lack that direction or that guidance. I would say pour into yourself. Sometimes we don't have the environment that supports our dreams and our goals. Sometimes we're planted in soil that's not meant for us to be planted in. And so we have to unroot and go and plant ourselves somewhere else. And so learn to pour into yourself. A lot of us don't have parents that's like, you can do this. You can be a business owner. You can do these things. We don't have partners who have that mentality. And so you got to surround yourself with people and things that's going to inspire you to do that, to step out on it. And so that could be, your sermons from, pastors. That could be motivational speeches. That could be going to conferences, women empowerment groups that allow you to see something different than what you're accustomed to. Because once you change your mind, you can definitely change your environment.
Ooh, child, you preaching on that one.
Yes. Mindset is everything. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people is so important. Even if you don't find in your home, get around someone, like she said, that will feed into you, because it's so important for your soul to be fed with information, to see something different. Traveling the world and things like that. I think that really also helped us because growing up, our father, when our mom and father separated, my father moved to Ohio. So we used to travel to Ohio all the time, like every summer. So I think being a part of that as well really kind of helped us to see something different. So I think that's also important, to see something different, like a different environment, move to a different state, just the fear factor. I took the risk and I just moved here, honey. Sometimes you just have to take that risk. Even leaving my job, I was the most scariest person on earth, but thank you, Jesus. I had a support system. And like, we're going to be okay. It's going to work in our favor. Imagine what we can do together, things of that nature. But if I didn't have no one to feed into me or to encourage me, motivate me, but if I didn't have anyone to feed into me and let me know that it's going to be okay, just do it. So I literally I was like, okay, because I was supposed to quit like a whole month or so ago. But I was like, let me get 2 or 3 more checks, okay? Before I leave this job. But I was afraid. I was scared because you don't know the unknown. Yes. But sometimes I do feel like you have to have some sort of plan in place as well. Okay. You may not know how it's going to end, but have something in place in order to give you some sort of guidance. So if I do this, if I try to follow this plan, it may not go accordingly. It may not go exactly how I wanted to, but at least I have something to work with. Because just quitting and you just staying still, it's only going to cause more depression. It's going to cause depression, anxiety, so many things that's going to come over you, because you're like, well, what the, double behind the six, what did I just do? Why would I do such a thing?
Right.
What is wrong with
me? Seriously have a plan, because I guess once I got over my fear, I was like, you have a plan. You guys already have a business in place. All it needs is you. Me. I'm my own worst critic, so just take the leap of faith.
So what would you say on that point? What would you say are 3 things someone who's listening can say, okay, I want to leave my job. these 3 things I can do to go take the steps in that direction. You said, have a plan. Like what are some things that someone should have in place before they take that step?
So let me jump in really quick, sister. One of the things that I tell people all the time, you have to position yourself for success, right? And so when you're thinking about transitioning into entrepreneurship or anything, you have to position yourself for that as much as possible. What does that mean? Position your household. That may mean that you got to eliminate some unnecessary spending and things like that. You have to downsize. You may not need 5 bedrooms if it's only 2 of you guys, right? So positioning yourself for success. That means that you're also preparing yourself mentally, because I think that's a part that people don't understand. Like that mental muscle and endurance has to be there. Planning, and I'll let her speak on that. But for me, it was, okay, make some downsize, downgrade. What is it that I can go without, that I don't absolutely need? And how do I do that so it can free up more finances for me? Also, people don't even have these conversations with their partners as well, because some partners may not support an entrepreneur lifestyle. They may not understand it. Right. And so you have to have those conversations as well as with your kids. Positioning your household, that may mean getting your kids more independent, where they don't rely and call on you and expect you to do everything. So mine's is going to fold the clothes, wash the dishes. They know how to do all of that so that I can focus on other things. And then I'll let my sister tell you about the plan, some things that she thinks that you should put into position.
That's one thing for sure. Putting yourself in position, like she said, downsizing, eliminate something. We don't need our nails done all the time. We don't need our hair done all the time. All of those things, that money can go towards your business plan, but 2, have some sort of savings. As you're working, that's what your job is, to most likely fund your business. So have some sort of savings. And guess what? If you don't really have a lot of that, hopefully you've invested in a 401k plan or something of that nature. Use that money to fund your business. You may have to take some sort of penalty in that, but it's worth it to be able to possibly pay up your rent, pay your rent up 1 or 2 months or something of that nature. Pay off those minimum debts, pay off some of those credit cards. Just get yourself in a positioning so whenever you're ready to quit, then you won't feel so pressured, because the only thing, honestly, that separates us from quitting a job is the financial side. It's the fear of, how am I going to make it? If I quit this job, how am I going to make it? But that's why when you're on these jobs, you have investment plans and stuff. Take advantage of those investment plans, those 401k plans. You may not can afford to do the max, but do close enough. So if you ever have to quit that job, then you have something to fall back on if you're not in position to have a savings. I just want
to throw in a little disclaimer. We're not financial advisors.
We're not.
We're not giving no financial advice. We're your girlfriends, we're your sisters. We're just, this is for entertainment purposes.
I would even say, tap into free resources that are available and things out there as well. Trainings, courses, whatever, seminars, webinars, whatever it may be, tap into those things. And I really believe there's a lyric in a song that say turn a pandemic into a pandemic. That was me, because when I was furloughed, y'all gave me my unemployment. I'm going to ride this. And in the process, I'm not going on trips. I'm not buying new lace fronts. I'm not getting these unnecessary eyelashes. I'm not doing any of that. What I'm trying to do is position my household so that when that stops, I can still maintain and I'll be up and running in the business, right? And so any opportunity, because a lot of us have the resources, we just don't tap into them. And what Lisa Nichols says, success leaves clues. You need to look around you to see what clues are available, because if you see successful women who come from the same, background as you, who have the same obstacles as you need to look at what they did to get successful and to become successful, because the clues are there. You just got to pick up on them.
And sometimes the very thing is right in your house. It reminds me of that story in the Bible where the widow, she was in debt and they were coming for her sons to make them into slaves. I don't know if y'all familiar with that story. And the prophet told her to go look in her house and see what she had. And she had some oil and she had to borrow some containers and sell the oil. And then when she did that, she was able to not only pay back the debtors, but also live
Have
off
an
of it for
overflow.
the rest of her life.
And that's another thing. That's a good point. You may have to borrow from someone that you can trust, and you like, look, girl, or look,
Mhm.
when I get on my feet, I got you. I know many stories that are like that, because they believed in themselves so much that they knew if I just had a chance, then I'm going to make this work. And most of those people, honestly, are millionaires at this point. And they have went back and done so much more for that particular person who helped them, and they will never forget it.
Yeah.
So you may have to borrow, a little bit, but like she said, I think tapping into your resources, free resources. There's so many different avenues that we can tap into. YouTube is probably the number one platform that anybody can use to get a lot of free gems, a lot of free information that is out there. Go to libraries, and so we got to utilize what's in front of us that is free. So, your free resources, positioning yourself and having some sort of savings plans or tapping into your 401k. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you that, but you can do that. And it can help you to get yourself further ahead where you're in position enough now. Okay, I can kind of just plan now. Like I can go ahead and launch this business. I can pay this $100 to start my LLC or start my corporation or whatever it may be. You'll be in position in order to do so.
So true. Having the mindset of investing in yourself rather than just spending money or just having the money sit there and not grow. Because the biggest investment that we can actually make is in our own knowledge and in our own selves.
Absolutely.
Money is seeds, just like our thoughts are seeds. And where we cultivate those seeds, they grow if planted in the right environment. So this has been an amazing conversation.
Yes,
so my final, I'd like for you guys to share a final thought, a word of inspiration, just to leave with everyone before we go.
Go ahead. I didn't know she was finished.
Okay. So my final thought is, it's just like Nike, do it like not in a blind way, but in a strategic way. I plan everything because I'm a visionary. I plan it all, and you can too. There are so many opportunities out here for us as women. There's so much that we can do. You literally run your household every day. You run other people's businesses. You can do it for yourself as well. And so all I would recommend you guys do is get the plan together and begin to execute it.
I would say timing is everything. Timing. It's a season for everything that we do in our life. It may not be your time right then and there. Let us be a prime example to you. We started in January 2019, but we didn't launch to November 2020 because of timing. It wasn't our season. It wasn't our place. But once you launch that thing, it's going to be a beautiful thing because God was like, okay, thank you. I was just waiting at the door.
That's
so
it.
Just trust yourself. Trust the process. Don't feel rushed by anyone else. Just trust the process and understand it is a sprint. I mean, this is a marathon and not a sprint. I think that's so important for us to understand that it is a marathon and not a sprint. And just trust the timing and trust the process in all that you do.
Wow. Yep. And just before we go, you guys have to tell us about the LLG University and tell us how we can get in touch with you if there are clients out there that want to work with you, or if there are people who want to do what you do. Tell us a little bit about what you guys offer there.
So LLG University is an extension of LLG Transportation Consultants. Basically, we know that there's so much misinformation in the industry when it comes to how do I start my company, compliance, how do I onboard a driver, how do I do these reports, things of that nature. Even on the CDL side, what type of tests do I have to take, what to expect. And so we created LLG University as a one-stop shop for all your trucking courses. And so you can find things like dispatch training on there, learn how to do back office support for yourself or to become a service provider. So we have so many different things that's going to be available on there. Those courses are available now. We also give you guys preview of the curriculum as well as the course so that you can have an idea of what you're getting prior to even purchasing. So to check it out, go to courses.llguniversity.com, scroll and check it out, guys. We're also going to be working on getting some payment plans in place for people who may need a little financial assistance. We understand as well. And so if you guys want to connect with us, we will be launching our own YouTube page here very soon in February of 2022, where we'll be educating the masses. We currently have an Instagram and a Facebook, very active on our Instagram. Type in LLG, and we're going to be the first one that pops up. Also, we have silly things like TikToks and things as well. You can contact us on our business line, 1-888-799-3055. And our website is www.llgtrucking.com.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much.
You.
This has been really awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. And I know that everything that we talked about will be helpful to someone that is listening, because we all find ourselves in so many different points, that we discussed. So once again, thank you so much for your time. And it's been a great pleasure.
Thank you, Camille. Bye-bye.